So, welcome to a discussion of a new type of commentary. But before we get into the new type of commentary, let's make sure we quickly review the types of commentary we already have. So, let me start by looking at some paragraphing from a book that I love, which is John Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men. So, take a look at this. Okay, so let's take a look at this. I have my topic sentence, and that tells me what it is that I'm going to be writing about with my character, and that is that he really lacks mental acumen, that there's some ability to make judgments that he is missing. So, what is my claim? Well, my claim is, why do I say he is missing mental acumen? And that's because he doesn't understand consequences. After that, I need to have some sort of evidence. I've got to prove it. And that's what you have here. When he's walking, he wants to stroke a dead mouse, and he's upset when George takes it and throws it away because he doesn't understand disease. So this is him not understanding consequences. So this evidence is supporting the claim. After he wades across to recover the mouse, he looks right at George and asks, "What mouse?" as though George couldn't hear him splashing. So again, we have that, that he didn't think George could hear him, so he's not understanding consequences. So the most important thing is that the evidence is supporting that claim about why I say he's lacking mental acumen. Now, if you notice, one thing that you guys have to pay attention to, you have to cite any evidence that has specific details from the book, even if those specific details are not quoted. So we don't have a quote in this first sentence, but these are details, and any details have to be cited as evidence. Now let's talk about what commentary would look like if we were doing commentary in one of the ways that we're doing it already. And that is, we can look at compare. Well, what would this be like? Maybe I could talk about that this is, like a 3-year-old who just doesn't understand what mom and dad are saying. I could use contrast. I could say, okay, if he were intelligent, then he might have this different reaction. But he doesn't, because he's clearly struggling some mentally. Or I could use significance. I could say, look, it's significant that he doesn't understand disease, because that's a pretty basic type of understanding in the world, that it takes a child that's pretty young to not understand disease. And Lenny is a full-grown man. So any of those 3 types of commentary that we've used so far would all work very well here. So which one you choose to use is really a matter of personal preference. Okay, so here is the commentary. And the commentary should go all the way back up, and it should really focus both on the claim and go all the way back up to that topic sentence, that mental acumen, that he doesn't understand, that consequences. So disease is not a difficult concept, and neither is the idea that splashing makes noise. So it's particularly significant that Lenny doesn't, ding, 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 understand either of these basic facts about life. Steinbeck is showing the reader almost immediately that Lenny is, ding ding, severely limited in how much he comprehends, even if he is a grown man. So we have these returns up to the topic, but you can also see that there is a very clear reasoning type, because we have that it's significant, that these are basic facts, so it shows that he is severely limited. This is not a man who is simply not clever. This is somebody who really has some very basic difficulties understanding the world. Now, this is the commentary that we've already done, because remember, so far we've done compare it to something, contrast it to something, or talk about what the significance is. But when you're talking about literature, specifically when you're getting into very detailed quotes, There is another kind of commentary that works really well, and that is to talk about the effect of language. What does that language cause in the reader or in the listener? Because when you're talking about fiction, authors are trying to create something in the reader. They're trying to create a feeling. So to talk about that cause or that effect can be really effective. So we're still in the paragraph about Lenny lacks mental acumen. So we need another claim, another reason why he's not mentally all there. Once we have that claim, then we need evidence. Only after we have those pieces can we start talking commentary. Okay, so let's review this a little bit. We've got a higher level transition word, far more importantly, or phrase rather. You then have your new claim, your new why statement. Why does he lack mental acumen? Because Steinbeck describes him in animal terms, suggesting he's no smarter than an animal. So you can see he doesn't understand. He's no smarter than an animal. Both of these fit within this idea of mental acumen. So both claims fit underneath that same topic sentence. So, after you have a claim, you then need to have evidence. When Lenny first appears, he is dragging his feet the way a bear drags his paws. This time you have quotes. You don't always have quotes, but it's nice if you're going to do cause and effect to really look at the exact language that is creating whatever effect you want to talk about. When George demands Lenny surrender the dead mouse, he holds it in his hand. He holds his hand out. I missed a word there. Sorry about that. He holds his hand out, and Lenny moves slowly like a terrier who doesn't want to bring a ball to its master. And if you remember, we talked about the fact square brackets are used when you change something inside a quote only to make the grammar correct. Now, the only difference that you can make grammar-wise with a single letter is capitalization. So that tells you originally this was a capital S, which meant this was the first word in a sentence. But of course, we've now embedded it. So the evidence is now embedded. Now, we're going to practice this new type of commentary, and that's going to be cause and effect commentary. So, when you look at the words, he is dragging, the way a bear drags his paws, that he is moving slowly, that he is a terrier, a dog, specifically a dog that doesn't want to listen to its master. What is the emotional result of these words? Dragging, is that like an uplifting word? Or is that a word that kind of pulls you down? Bear, dragging its paws. A terrier who doesn't want to come to its master. Are these words that create joy, or are these words that create sort of sadness? Well, I think it's going to be pretty clear here that the emotional result of these particular words is you have this sense of sadness. You have this sense of that he is really, he's not bright. Certainly, these are not animals that are well known for their intelligence. These are also possibly both animals that would bite, but they aren't animals that we associate with any sort of cleverness. We don't see him associated with animals like a fox that's particularly known for being smart. Terriers are known for being very yappy, but it's not like they have a reputation as a particularly brilliant dog. Bears, again, you've got this heaviness, you have this slowness, but you also kind of have this sense of danger, that these are animals that have got sharp teeth and not necessarily a ton of intelligence to kind of mitigate that danger. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all of these emotional reactions. What is it that we feel when we look at a bear, when we look at this terrier who doesn't want to do something? What emotional reaction is being created in the reader? What is the effect of that specific language? Now, when I talked about what effect this language had, we did talk about the fact that both a bear and a dog have teeth, that both of these animals are in fact dangerous. However, if you look at the topic sentence is all about mental acumen. It's not about danger, which is why I steered away from those particular responses. They're perfectly valid. However, I need to focus on what this paragraph is about, and this paragraph is supposed to be all about his lack of mental acumen. And so I need to make sure that I keep my commentary focused where it should be. But if we take a look at this commentary, we can take a look at what makes good cause and effect. By using the idea of a bear and a dog, Steinbeck is creating a sense that Lenny is animalistic in his thoughts. You need to be looking at exactly what the author is doing. Cause and effect commentary focuses on that author's hand. So you have to imagine that you can see the author trying to create some effect. So Steinbeck is creating the effect of his language. You need to call out specific language. By using the bear and the dog, Steinbeck is creating a sense that Lenny is animalistic. What is the effect of the language? The effect of this language is the sense that he is animalistic in his thoughts, this sense that he lacks higher level thinking. So you're talking about this language has this effect, and you have to make sure you explain why you say that. And that's what you see in the next bit. The reference to bear that is dragging creates a sense of slowness. And when you're doing, cause and effect commentary, you are going to see these words about cause, effect, create. It leaves the reader. These are words that tell me that you're actually going into that cause and effect commentary. It creates a sense of slowness that is reinforced when Lenny hesitates before surrendering, as though he's searching for another solution. So the language leaves the reader seeing Lenny as almost less than human, an idea reinforced by the way George orders him around. And so this commentary gets at this idea that he not only does he lack mental acumen, remember we always go back to the topic sentence, but that lack of mental acumen is so sharp that he almost comes off in this very animalistic way. So on your paragraph, and by the way, I'm not quite done, you do need to make sure that you have a closure. Closure is going to have a closing transition word. In sum, it's going to, my handwriting's great. It's going to go back to what the original topic is, that lacks mental acumen, which essentially means he's not that intelligent. Steinbeck, and here's where I'm going to slip in the third rule, and that is I need to have an intensifier, a word that is that mic drop moment. Definitely introduces Lenny as an unintelligent good heavens, stop moving character. So that's going to be my closing transition in sum, although my handwriting sucks. Sorry, you can live with it. So that's going to be my closing transition. my repetition of the topic sentence, but in different words, and then my intensifier word. So, what you are going to do is you are going to write a paragraph about one of the 4 characters I've asked you to write about. Make sure you're checking your agenda and following the directions. At least one of your 2 arguments must use cause and effect commentary. And that means, just like in this second half that I showed you here, you are going to have to look at very specific language, and you are going to have to tell me, what does that very specific language do? What is the effect of that language on the reader? So that is your assignment. Go give me a very beautiful body paragraph telling me what's your first impression of one of those 4 characters.